Okay, so now that the drawing is refined, it's time to start moving into color. Now, my first step when I'm doing a digital painting is I like to create the local color and rough everything in. Now, a local color is just basically the color of an object, not in shadow and not lit. It's just the color of an object. And I like to create kind of a rough painting over the entire image. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I want to do is I want to create a layer underneath the drawing layer. So I just click on the canvas, click on new layer, and boom, I've got a layer right underneath. I want that drawing to sit right up on top. I don't, when we paint underneath it, I don't want to lose the drawing. So I'm going to grab a little bit of blue, and I want to get rid of that charcoal pencil. And so I just grabbed a nice big piece of square chalk. And let's go ahead and just start painting in our sky. That feels a little bit small. I want to get a nice big. And that feels a little bit big. Let's go a little bit smaller. There we go. That feels like a good size. And I'm just very loosely going to rough in this background sky. I keep it really loose. I don't labor it at all. And let's just throw it in there really quickly. And then the other thing you're going to see, if you look at the sky outside, it gets warmer as we get closer to the horizon. So you're going to see me start moving my color selection closer and closer to the yellow range. We're going to have to go through some of that green. And actually, if you look outside, a lot of times, especially if there's a lot of particulate in the air, dust and that sort of thing, you'll see that it gets warmer and warmer as we get closer to the horizon because it's reflecting, those particles are reflecting back the warmth of the sun, the yellows and the oranges. And so that mixes with the blues and we get sometimes, a greenish turquoisey tint toward the horizon. And sometimes if there's a lot of stuff in the air, the closer you get, especially if you look at, like Los Angeles back in the 80s, it's really kind of almost brown and yellow because of all that stuff that's in the air. But that's kind of a natural phenomenon. That's what happens when, we have a hazy day. It's just stuff in the air, and the more as you look across towards the horizon, you're looking through more and more atmosphere, and therefore you see different colors. It gets warmer, and there's your little science lesson for the day. So I'm just going to hit a couple of these. I just went ahead and made it nice and yellow towards the bottom because I want it to feel dusty and hazy, and I just want to go ahead and get that in there. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and create another layer, and we're just going to start working forward. And I want to start adding the clouds. So I'm going to grab a nice gray color here and create a new layer. And I'm just going to go ahead and start painting in our cloud shadows. So our cloud shadows are in now, and that's feeling pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a nice light color. It's not completely white, as you can tell, and I want to start painting in the lighter parts of the clouds. And just very loose, once again, just staying very loose. I'm just going to hit these real quick. There. So, we're starting to lay them in kind of nice, and already, the sky is starting to take shape. I like where it's going. We've got a little ways to go on it, obviously, but it's going to come together really nice. What I'm doing is at this stage is I'll jump back and forth between my shadow color, the grays, and the light colors, and just kind of work up that sky and get it looking pretty good. I'm just creating a few extra little clouds here and there. So now I've got the sky roughed in, and I like that. That feels pretty good. There might be a few minor details, but I think that feels pretty good all in all. So the next thing that I want to do is moving forward, I want to create a new layer again, and I want to go ahead and start painting in the grass. And so I've grabbed this orange color, and I'm just going to start roughing in that grass color. And once again, just keeping it loose, not worrying about detail. We go from, loose to detailed, and so we're still in the loose stage. So now I'm gonna go ahead and hit some of these, trees that are on the horizon, and as they get further and further away, they mix with more and more of the horizon, so they become a little bit grayer, not quite as green as they would be as if we were looking at them up close because of what we call atmospheric perspective. So now I want to go ahead and let's get add a new layer, and we'll get the color of the zebra in there. Once again, we're just going to start with the white and just to go really basic and just start loosely laying in the light color of the zebra. So I'm just finishing that up, and I want to hit, you notice all I did was just one color, just laid it in really quickly. I'm going to go ahead and get that last little detail right there on the ear, finish that up. So next, what I want to do is I want to start varying up some of that color. You know, if you look at your own skin, it's not all one color. It varies. There's warms, there's cools. I'm not worrying about shadow, light and shadow at this point. I just want to vary up. I want to vary up the coloring within that local color. You know, I was talking about that earlier. We call it local color. It's that color of the object when it's not lit. And one of the things I like to do is I like to grab this jitter brush, and what I love about it is that it mixes with the pigment underneath really well, and so it gives it it's not harsh, and so we can get in there and just kind of smooth it around. And here I'm just grabbing a lighter version of that kind of beige color that we've got, and I'm just hitting it in various places, just like I said, just varying up the value structure of that local color. And here I'm going to go a little bit darker underneath and just hit some of those areas. Once again, I want to emphasize, I'm not hitting shadows. I'm just hitting local color. And so now I'm just finishing up some of that. That feels pretty good. I'm going to hit a couple of last spots there. There, that feels pretty good. And so now, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and start laying in some of these zebra stripes. So I'm just going to grab my small chalk and knock down the size really small. And let's just go ahead. I'm just going to go ahead and start painting it in. There's a lot of stripes here. I'm just going to trace right over the stripes that are there, and let's just enjoy. Okay, I'm going to just hit these finishing details on the stripes. There is a lot there to do, so I just wanted to kick back and give you guys a little bit of music. But once again, I want to go back to that emphasis on how nicely those stripes show off the form, and that's half the battle right there. So that's kind of cool. But the next thing we want to do is I want to go ahead and I'm going to create a layer underneath the zebra, but above that grass layer that we created earlier. And I'm just roughing in a little bit more color in there. I want to vary it up. And there's a little spot there that I'm going to jump over to our zebra layer and erase that away. There we go. And now you can see the grass between his leg and body. I just want to vary up some of that color, and just this is where at this stage, we start bringing in warms, we start bringing in cools, and so that's what I'm trying to do here. Now, what I've done here is I've created a layer over the top of everything because I want him to feel like he's standing in the grass. So I'm just loosely indicating some grass on its own layer, laid out over the top of the zebra and the other grass behind him. But already this is all, this is starting to come together pretty nice. I'm liking this. I'm going to go ahead and hit just a little bit more of these clouds, just to put a few finishing touches on there. And we're pretty much there. So I'm going to finish this up, and then why don't we just move on? After I finish this, I'm going to hit this last little bit, and then we'll move on to the next bit, which is light and shadow, which is this is where it's really going to come together.